from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. And my, oh my,
Chang, chang.
RG's dropping dollar bills in this house. Someone must have been right on some picks this week.
Chang, 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 baby. Chang, chang.
The dark-skinned Sam Rothstein is in the house, baby.
Hold on. Is that you, Cash Considerations? Is that Cash Considerations said, pay me my money, bookie?
Someone had a better day than Geno Smith, apparently, the way these lasts are going.
Jeez, dude. God, that guy sucks.
Ouch. Well, let's rewind it really quick, man, because I need a break from that. That shit was real quick to be hopping on the mic with that sort of emotions, man. That was a trip, baby. That was an absolute trip watching the Seahawks on Sunday. But we got to rewind. Baby. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are your World Series champions for the 8th time. This is one of the best teams in Major League Baseball history. Got to give a huge shout out to our homie Indy out there in Nashville, Tennessee. Him and Darby make this show come to life. Vaden Podcast Services. It's Vaden Podcast Services. Got to give a huge shout out to all the homies in the live chat. They're already bringing the fire. They've been killing it since the second I hopped on the YouTube live. But of course, my main man RG, he messes around and gets a triple-double. What's going on down there, big dog?
Ever met somebody who wouldn't chill every second he tell the need to let you know that he real? Every second he want to talk about his homies that died or the people he killed in the future or the people he will. Talked about who he stabbed and beat up and he won't cool out. Yakety yak, and he's reminiscing on different shootouts. How he was there, Shawty was blast, but cops came with body bags and he's talking, but nobody asked him. He want a pension. He want his name yelled. And me and him always end up in the same cell. But I'm pissed on the top bunk. I can't sleep. This guy ain't streeting here, so I ain't beefing. No. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Shout out to the homie Vaughn, my homie Harry, man. Pretty good day for us. Rams and Seahawks made us sweat it out. But at the end of the day, DraftKings said it was all good, baby. Give me that dope.
Man, there is nothing like a winning gambler on a Sunday evening, man. You know exactly how the person's day went. I just want to put it like this, man. Ice Cube's better than Fat Joe. L.A. was better than the Bronx. I'ma just ask you, man. We got to rewind it a little bit before we get into the gridiron because a fantastic matchup ended up being a really quick series. But the numbers say, and just talking to y'all, people were tuned in and loving this World Series this year.
Dude, over 18.5 million people. And I get that those numbers could be extremely convoluted just because LA and New York could probably carry that by themselves without help from the rest of the country. But it damn sure beat the small numbers that watched last year when it was Texas and Arizona. It's good for baseball. It really is good for baseball. Regardless of how you feel about how the teams are built, the one thing you could never say about both those ownerships is that they're cheap. They put money into their product, and they try to give you the best that they can do. They start spring training thinking, how can we get to the World Series? And the Mariners start spring training going, how can we be 2 games better than third-place team in our division and hope for a fucking miracle when we get down to the stretch? I got no issue with it. I wanted 7 games myself, but that 5th inning just completely changed what the hell we were going to watch the rest of the year. And shout out to the Dodgers for getting it done. Shout out to, man, think about it like this. We've been talking. That's a very scary team moving forward. An absolute very scary team moving forward. We can talk about how much we love our pitching staff in Seattle, The Dodgers had 7 starting pitchers, including a guy named Shohei Ohtani, who didn't get to take the mound barely at all for them this year. And when those guys get healthy, watch out, man. We may have one in the making. We still got to get through 162 and see how it all plays out. But again, shout out to the Dodgers. Shout out to the Yankees for making it. I think Aaron Boone just earned himself one more lease on life before he's in the unemployment line. But just a sad way to see that game fall apart. But I'm a Mariner fan, true and true. And I still hate the Yankees for 2000 and 2001. So to hell with them.
Yeah. It's always easy to dislike the person that crushed your dreams, man. When you lay your heart out there and she tells you no, you gonna feel it. That's the same way with the Mariners. That's why we always hate the Yankees. And I'm with you, man. I hate the Yankees more than I hate the Astros. But we've had more consequence against New York. It's the consequences we face. Most of the Astros run, we ain't done shit. So how am I gonna be hating on someone when I can't do nothing about it? It's like that guy that's standing on the sideline saying, "I'm gonna come kick your ass." As soon as someone steps, you can't find that dude anywhere. So I'm not gonna bark
Or
up
on the
at
other
Big
end,
Bro.
he's J. Cole, where after the fight is over, he shows back up and goes, "Man, if I'd have been in this fight, I'd have won."
Oh man, I'm glad you brought up that fifth inning though. So it was fifth inning, game 5. Weren't they New York up 5-0, I believe?
5-0.
And so
2
both
outs. With
teams
2 outs.
astronaut 2 outs. You got to get it done. I mean, your star player drops the ball. You have another throwing error, but that's 5 unearned runs. 5 unearned runs. And to me, the teams are equal just in terms of the payrolls. Neither team can bitch about the other team spending too much because they're both crushing the league in terms of their payroll budgets. So now it comes down to who can play better baseball. And the Dodgers have proven they can win in multiple ways. The Yankees are a slug 'em and bash 'em type of team. And if they're not putting them over the fence, we saw that they can't win in other ways. And so it's weird for me to say this, RG, because of LA's enormous budget. But small ball fundamentals and the little things was the difference in the series.
Dude, how many broken bat base hits can you get in 1 inning? Then the mental error of Cole not recognizing how deep Rizzo is down the line when he makes that amazing stop at first to not go cover it. Just you crept in. You crept in. You do what we scream about as Mariner fans all the time. Put pressure on the defense. Do it by running. Do it by making smart decisions on the base path. Just a masterclass of how small ball is still viable in this world of analytics. The great play that he made is short, and then he 2-hops the ball to Jazz Chisholm at third base, allowing Mookie to be able to get there. And like we were saying on the off mic chat, just in that situation, we wouldn't have been looking for a pitch to hit a fly ball to get somebody across on. We'd have gone up there swinging to try to hit one to the top of the left field stands. Just great situational awareness by one team, a complete falling apart, but then they still had their chance because they went back up a run. And just as it all played out, man, the Dodgers were it was just their time. It was just their time. This should put to bed any of the bullshit from 2020. And I was one of those guys who, now it wasn't about it being a shortened season. I just thought that the pulling of Blake Snell just opened up the door for me to put on my tinfoil hat and become a conspiracy theorist, because that guy was out there dealing. And then an hour later, Justin Turner has COVID and he's been exposed to everybody on the field. It's like, that's why they pulled Blake Snell. But end of the day, Dodgers were able to get it done. Had a hell of a parade party. We found out that Shohei Ohtani actually can speak a little bit of English. Yeah, man. Good time for those guys. But now we build towards 2025, and we've seen what the investment in seasoned players can do. We should still be shooting ourselves in the foot for not offering Teoscar a qualifying offer. But then to come to find out, he didn't really like hitting in Seattle anyway. So maybe that wasn't a match made in heaven, but good for him, man, to get somewhere, perform on that type of stage, hit a home run the World Series that I get to say I was there for, and probably earn himself some money moving forward. Him and Juan Soto. Can't
Oh,
can't talk about the series, can't talk about the playoffs without talking about the amazing performance that Juan Soto put on. That guy's legit. That guy's the truth. Um, to Mariner fans listening who didn't disagree a year ago, he's absolutely worth the 1 year rental.
well, let me ask you this. How many guys are a true MVP candidate? A true, legit MVP candidate? Probably only a few in each league, and he's one of them.
True, true. He is. He is a generational talent with once in a lifetime ability. Give me Juan Soto and I'll be at every home game. Absolutely. I'd catch a flight up there to go see that. But not for what that's going to cost us now. could have got it for cheap, but yesterday's price is not today's price.
Oh, not even close. It's going to be fun to see. I mean, I'm honestly kind of pessimistic going into the offseason just because there's not a ton of difference making bats out there. The guys that are going to get gigantic contracts, you would assume. And then I'm looking here already. Emmett Brown with a good point I brought up before that the A's are going to Sacramento and playing a AAA stadium, dude, for the next couple of years at least. So I'm not worried in the super near term. But if they find a home in Vegas or Salt Lake City, you can absolutely guarantee the A's payroll will go up and they'll be more competitive in terms of the money spent on players. So the days of preying on the A's are going to come to an end. The Mariners have to get better. We have to get better. Let's just go over a couple of quick notes. We know that the option for Jorge Polanco was declined. So that guy is now going to hit free agency. That saves the Mariners roughly $12 million. So that's huge. We also got rid of Urias, who looked like he was never a fit here. But now we still have a giant hole at second base. We need a giant upgrade at third base. And I still haven't heard about Mitch Haniger, but every source, RG, is already just planning as if he's going to accept. And he has to accept in a day or declare for his player option within a day or two. So we can almost guarantee the double Mitch, which is here. The Mariners payroll is projected at around 150 million. So I'm really nervous that we're already about capped out, which is bullshit to me, but it doesn't matter what I think because I don't sign the checks.
So unfortunately not. And like we said a couple weeks ago, two guys who drive trucks for a living were able to see that we just put ourselves into a hole with the bad financial decisions that they made. And if you're giving out $5 million for 1 year to sit on the bench and hit below the Mendoza line like they did for Urias, shit, sign me up to come play second base for the Mariners. I could do that shit in my sleep. That's where every year we need the same position. Shout out Emmett Brown, you telling the truth. And I see you, Mariners Life. I forgot to get to it when it was lower, but yeah, J. Cole is an absolute chump for coming back with those type of bars. But we can get into that another time. Yeah, man, just it's just frustrating to know that we have some talented pieces that could help get us back to the level we've been chasing for 23 years. We need to mix in some season and not some retreads, but we're just not going to do that.
You know what's crazy to me, dude, is I think what's really got me was watching the amount of playoffs I did this year. And in the league championship series, and especially the World Series itself, man, was how ragged these pitching staffs were for these elite powerhouses, man. Like each team needs to roll out bullpen days. They got guys that can barely, start for a few innings at best. And I'm just thinking to myself, the Mariners staff can take it with these, like, we can go against anybody in a short series without going completely ragged. The Dodgers are coming out with. Would you think the Dodgers are going to have to do a bullpen game in the World Series, which they do? And although they got their asses kicked in the game, it allowed them to still have their top guns to finish the series, which they did. But I'm just really frustrated, dude, because our lineup hasn't been competitive enough. But just looking at how the pitching stats were down the stretch for the title, we could easily be there, dude.
I think so. I think we're wasting this opportunity. I think we are absolutely wasting this golden opportunity that's in front of us with our pitching staff the way that it is, with the offensive talent that we do have. This team is going to continue to stay expensive as it keeps rolling. They're still going to have to pay up some people. We're going to have some guys who are going to have some decisions to make coming up. And if ownership in the front office doesn't show that competitive balance that these guys are looking for, they're going to walk on us. We're not going to get any club-friendly deals because they've shown the inability to be able to push all their chips in and go for what it is that they want. The goal is to keep it close through the month of September to keep those turnstiles moving. The goal isn't a championship. And until the goal begins to be a championship, we're going to continue to have this conversation. I personally couldn't take it anymore. I jumped at the opportunity to make it to the World Series before the Mariners could. And, and as good as the time that I had, I don't want to go watch two other teams play. I want to see my team play, but my team's not committed to the cause. So I'm a sports fan above all, so I'm going to go.
Well, and as well you should, because this might be your only opportunity to go to the World Series. Because I'm with you. You can't count on this team really committing, and I think that's such a good word. Are you going to commit to attempt to make it that far? Because it's hard enough. Look at what the Dodgers have put into their team in the last 15 years and what they actually have to show for it. That's how hard it is to win a World Series, even if you're 1,000% committed, let alone if you're just halfway in, man. So it's going to be really tough, but the Mariners need to act quickly, in my opinion. They'd like to slow play the offseason. But if we roll slow, we're going to get lost, and we can still improve this. Like, bring back Carlos Santana or bring back Justin Turner. I was comparing them, man, and I think we're both Luke Raley fans, and I would like to see him play a ton next year. But he is vastly better against righties than lefties. And so maybe we could do a DH first base, fourth outfielder type of thing with Luke Raley. But just last year, even old ass Carlos Santana, a 934 OPS against lefties. Carlos Santana dominates left-handed pitching. He will be the cheapest quality free agent we could find. Don't wait around. Don't let him sign somewhere else, Mariners, because this shit's just passing us by in the wind right now.
Sure is. Sure is. Either a leader keeps up or he gets lost in the crowd. We're on the verge of being lost in the crowd. Shout out to you too, Mariners Lifer. I'm the voice of all Mariners fans right now. I don't know if I am. I look at it a little bit differently than everybody else does. I'm not here to hope that ownership makes money, especially knowing that they're not going to re-up and put it back into their product. I don't live in Seattle, so I can't benefit from the bar across the street. Because when I go to Seattle, when the game is over, I'm going to Crab Pot and fucking up some Dungeness crab when it's over. I don't give a damn about the bar across the street from the stadium. What other business does a guy not put money into his business for it to continue to grow and to be successful? Is it, well, I guess they call them slumlords, right? So we're stuck with the ultimate rich ass slumlord who, as long as we're good enough to keep you interested, that's all they give a shit about. I don't care what plan that Jerry hasn't come up with. I don't care what magical number he pulls out of his ass to show what everything is. This guy's already had 10 years. Are you going to continue to give someone else time after they've had one successful season in the last 10? No, you'd walk her right out the door, or she'd walk you right out the door, or your boss would come out that corner office and be like, "Hey, yo, homie, we need to speak real quick." No. Don't worry about that briefcase. You'll get it on the way out. But we got our faith in this dude who obviously is loyal to the cause, and they're just gonna fill us with smoke and mirrors until they absolutely make an investment that says we are going to go get these guys, and these guys are going to help us contribute to get to the World Series, and not Luis Urias, and not Josh Rojas, and not the double Mitch Witch. I was happy that Mitch Garver got signed, only because he's from Albuquerque. So Burke above all, let New Mexico get paid. A couple weeks into that, I'm like the rest of you. Run this bum the fuck up out of here.
Man, how do you really feel?
You're lucky they didn't see our conversation when the Seahawks damn near cost me my bet earlier today.
That's a great point, Emmett. Geographical dominance is what he's saying. The owner is very blessed because he doesn't have one state. He's got an entire region that cheers for him. But here's the thing though, is at some point you got to spend money to make money. And I don't necessarily know how it's doing, man, but you know how I feel about these teams. You know, I'm down there in the Soto area. I've never been to Hatback Bar and Grill. Now, granted, I don't want to be in more crowds than I already am gonna be, so I'm not the type of dude that's gonna, wait 20 minutes for a beer when I'm already gonna be waiting in line, just to get in the stadium and whatnot. But I gotta ask you then, point blank, man, another dude from Albuquerque. A lot of Mariners fans hate him. What do you think about Alex Bregman?
Sign his motherfucking ass now. Sign him. Sign him. He's a defensive upgrade. He's better than anything that we have. Regardless of how they got there, he is a seasoned World Series champion that still has life in that bat. Bring him. Bring him. Absolutely sign that man up. I've heard of him. I'll take him. You're goddamn right. Should have signed that boy a year ago. But we'll see what it is that Houston wants to do. I think that Houston would be crazy to let him go. If they're he's at least worth picking up the phone to call. At least pick up the phone and make that call. If he turns you down, he turns you down. But you at least made a shot to go out and go get someone who could be an impact to our lineup in our positions.
Oh yeah,
I would
and
take
he
he
had a
has
better year than
every
people
season
think.
he's had. Every season he's had, I would take over what we've ran out there at third base since we got rid of Seager.
And I mean, I want to trail all the way back to the World Series, though. Is we also just have to, I mean, ownership, budget, front office aside, the players on the field need to execute quality baseball plays, though. Because I'm thinking back to that clinching game in the World Series for the Dodgers. What stood out to both of us, man? Sack fly to tie the game, sack fly to take the game, the go ahead run. They end up winning the World Series that night. That's that shit that you have to be able to do. We saw how happy Mookie Betts could shit on any Mariners player that we currently employ right now in terms of what he's done in his career and what he's still doing. And he was completely jacked, thrilled, and stoked on his sack fly. Mariners don't get like that, but I don't see us hit situationally like that either. But here's the facts. I don't care how rich of a team you are, you have to execute the fundamentals. You got to put the ball in play more often and get runners home by any means necessary. I was just so happy that it was sack fly, just because the analytical all or nothing approach at the plate drives me wild at times.
Came back to bit the Yankees, didn't it?
Absolutely did.
Came right back to bite them. Just I get how it works. I get how it's used to build teams. I get how it's used to make decisions. But until the computer can get out there and hit 310, let the guy still fucking play and put him in a position to be able to succeed. What analytics does is, like, if you remember reading the book and reading the movie, why would we go after this guy? Why would we go after this guy? Because he gets on base. what made Juan Soto the most extreme valuable part of what the Yankees did to their run to the World Series this year? Dude had a 29 straight games on base streak. What a punt, fucking right? Yeah, just on base, patient at the plate, patient at the plate. A great eye up there to not just be up there swinging at bad pitches. We'll get to baseball. We'll get to football, Texas Power Ranger. We'll get to football. You may not want to get to football because your team lost to the Jets, but we'll get to football. And I'll talk about my boy Saquon. But we got to talk a little bit of manners, baby. They the ones who pay the bills around here for a little bit. But yeah, we'll get to football and we'll talk about the amazing day that Mr. Saquon Barkley had. But yeah, man, just it was tough to watch from a Mariners standpoint because you realize that there's still levels to this and there's still levels that other organizations have and are willing to be able to do aside from spending the money to be able to get it done. Just how they let guys still play. It's not about the 3-run home run constantly. They were willing to take one run at a time to be able to chop down that tree, and they got it done. Texas Power Ranger, you the homie, man.
I love it, man. People are firing back. I don't have much to say on my team. If I start talking that shit like my team's a champion, I'm gonna look like a chump out here. So I'm gonna just stay a little bit quiet on that shit. But it was a wild ride.
Hey, mine either. My coaching staff tried their best to give that game away today. but we pulled a victory out of the jaws of defeat just to spite our head coach again.
I mean, let's just go into it then, man. What happened there? I mean, I swear to God, they were up 22-0 the last I saw. Then the next thing I saw, it's less than a touchdown score. Does Sirianni just not know how to use his kicking and special team staff? Or is,
He
I
must
mean,
not
it's
have faith in him.
no faith?
No faith. Or I just don't get it. I just don't get it. If we kick those 3 field goals, we still have the same 18 to 19 point lead he was trying to achieve by going for 2, and we don't open the door to let them back in it. A better quarterback, we lose today. We absolutely lose today. Now, what my man's talking about, Saquon Barkley
Ooh.
gets the ball, heads to the left end, spins and breaks one tackle, jukes a guy out of his shoes, sees the other guy coming, puts his back and leaps while he is backwards, not facing the guy, and the guy dives to try to make the huddle. And honestly, it's one of the greatest plays you might ever see. Yeah, it'll be on SportsCenter and ESPN. Be sure to catch it. Just out there athletically, just better than everybody trying to go, dude. That shit was nasty, man. Happy to have that boy on our team. I'm happy another front office decided to be a bunch of dumbasses and not give that guy what he wanted. It was fucking gross, man. But again, just what is it that we're trying to accomplish here? Are we coaching with ego to prove that I'm smarter than the next man is? Or are we coaching because I've been put into this position that this organization trusts me and we're trying to get back to the Super Bowl we should have won before we came out in the second half and decided the best way to beat Patrick Mahomes was with field goals and not touchdowns? Because if you ask me, ever since the second half of that Super Bowl started, that Sirianni's been a dead man walking, and he should be happy to have a job right now. But it's still making the same mistakes. The best way to apologize for bad behavior is to change your behavior. But that's not what this guy is doing. He's thinking he's smarter than the machine until the machine bites your ass and you got nothing to do. He should have learned that last year after going 10-1 and then shit, only winning 1 game since.
Are some of these guys too beholden to the analytics then? because we just talked about it in baseball, but the reason the Eagles go for it at such an absurd rate is the analytics. The reason the Seahawks elected to run on 4th and 1 instead of kicking a field goal in overtime was the analytics. And I'm not an anti-analytic guy at all. Everything serves a purpose, but a tool is only only as useful as the person that uses said tool. And we got to think of the situations more carefully. We can't just always go to the raw numbers, because guess what? In each given situation, the analytics change. Yet so many of these teams and coaches are beholden to what the analytics tell you in the huge spreadsheet over years and years and years. But right now is like a 5-second play window. It's one pitch, one at bat. So the analytics actually completely change in every given certain scenario. And for some reason, we're just looking at the huge broad numbers all the time.
In my psychology class, we call it the history effect, where through all the data that we're collecting, what we're not accounting for is that no situation today is like it is tomorrow. The sun could be in a different position. The wind could be blowing in a different position. The placement of something minuscule does not allow that same scenario that happened for you last time to happen for you this time. And to me, that's, like I said, that's the one thing that I don't think analytics accounts for, is nothing is always the same. Nothing is always the same when you're looking at this thing from situation to situation. There are variables that are different. The tush push was more effective when we had Jason Kelce. We don't have Jason Kelce anymore. So the personnel is different. I listened to Draymond Green talk about one time where do you think a team can match what the Warriors are doing? And he said, no, because you don't have the personnel that we have. Our personnel allows us to be able to do this. So you may go out and get someone who could shoot like this, but you can't go out and get someone who thinks like this. That's what the difference is.
Man, I can't lie though. Look, I mean, I love when we just go off on tangents, but the Warriors have been the most fun professional basketball team to watch in the last 10 or 15 years. Just the way they played, but not everybody, like Draymond Green has many flaws, but he's also one of the most unique basketball players I've ever seen. Then you also have two guards who will run around like Ray Allen or Reggie Miller, which most guys in today's era of hoops don't know what to do with the ball is not in their hands. So that's a great comment, and I love the analysis from a player himself, just looking at, you can't just replicate what other teams are doing. You're right, because they got different players, so you got to adapt to what you have. And Emmett Brown's talk. Geno Smith has made me crazy, dude. He has made me absolutely crazy, because this guy makes the dumbest plays and the dumbest throws you've ever seen. But he also makes some fantastic throws and fantastic plays. And to top it off, at times you wonder if our two guys on the right side of the offensive line should even be in the NFL at times. It's tough to watch, because it's what I call a calamity of errors. Because when one person's doing something right, the other one is fucking it up. And then they all take turn. Everyone's got to take a turn doing something stupid. It was a miracle the Seahawks even took that game into overtime. My beloved Seahawks, dude, have been 1-4 in their last 5 games. It is going sideways quickly. And look up. Arizona Cardinals are in first place, and if the Seahawks were a stock, it would be giant red arrow down.
Dude, I don't know. I say it from some bitterness because of the conversations that me and Indy have had off mic, where he keeps bringing up that my Eagles lost to Drew Lock. So that strikes a tone for me. So anytime I have a chance to kick a man when he's down, I'm absolutely going to take it, because I'm petty like that. You have returned into what it is that you truly are, and that's a football team still trying to figure it out. You got some great pieces. It would have helped for you to have DK today a little bit. You might still be paying for some of Pete Carroll's sins. And your division is kind of good. Your division is kind of good. Um, this is because what? How did you guys do? Have you guys played the Cardinals yet?
No, we still have
All
both
right.
games against
So
them,
you still
but
you
we're
got an
0
L
and
to
2
the
in the division. We're 0
yeah.
and
So
2
now
in the
you're already 0
division.
2 in the division,
Yeah,
kind of biting it.
yeah.
So man, just it was set up for you today. I shouldn't have, I should be up here cussing because Seattle should have had a chance to not allow Stafford to get done what he needed to get done, but just thank God for those 3 picks that Geno threw. And again, I I can't the pot can't call the kettle black here because we got our issues in Philly as well too. And our coach is what's in our way. And it kind of sucks that this guy has had an unbelievable success record since he's been in Philly, if we look at his wins and losses. But this guy's a knucklehead, and we got to get this dude the fuck up out of here at all cost. You don't have that issue there. You just got some personnel issues that I think will get worked out um, as time goes with McDonald. But yeah, you're not playing your best ball right now. But Sweet Nine, there's still plenty of time to turn around. San Francisco's not the juggernaut that they thought that they were. You've already proved that the Rams are a beatable team. See what Arizona has for you. Um, Still time for you. Still time for you. We'll see how good Philly is next week because next week is Dallas' Super Bowl. And we haven't swept Dallas since the year we won the Super Bowl. And I don't even think we swept them that year because we sat everybody the last week of the season. So it's been a long time since we've gotten the best out of Dallas in a season series. So, Philly still has a long way to go as well too. But for you guys, I think there's still time to turn around.
Yeah, I mean, it's the NFL too. This has been really, I was going to say up and down year for the Seahawks, but it's really been one huge up and one huge down. Every time I watch Philly play, dude, they need to have a giant piece of duct tape over the play sheet for Kellen Moore that just says run the ball. Because I swear to God, if Philly commits to the run for the rest of the season, they could take this thing all the way to the Super Bowl. Because to me, it's wide open. I don't see great teams in the NFC, especially. So if you can just get to the tournament and get hot, the weather gets shitty in a lot of these cities that are going to be possible host games, like Philly, Green Bay. Well, they got crushed today, but either way, because these guys are lighting it up on the live chat talking about that Saquon run you referenced. Incredible. This guy is showing every bit of the talent we thought he could be. And the Giants made the biggest mistake I've seen in a long. Actually, that's not true. A giant mistake in itself, though, because of all these bad quarterback trades. There's so many bad quarterback trades. But to let Saquon Barkley out the door to your divisional rival, who, even though they lost a Hall of Fame center to retirement this offseason, they still have a damn good offensive line. This is the first time Saquon's had an offensive line like this. This is the first time he's had wide receivers like this, and he also has a quarterback who can run as well. So it's set up to pound people in the mouth. And then if you do that consistently, your two receivers can win on the outside.
You paid Daniel Jones.
Oh. What's the worst contract
Daniel
situation, dude? Daniel Jones or the double Mitchwich?
Equal.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm gonna say that they're equal. The double Mitch, which hurts me more because it affects my team personally, while the Daniel Jones contract makes me laugh and smile at some team that I really can't stand. Tay Williams, we them boys, we them boys. Who
Even
them
if they
boys?
suck.
Who them boys? Oh, you must think you guys still got Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. They them boys. Y'all ain't them boys. Rent's been due on that cowboy helmet for a very long time, Mr. Williams.
Dude, I was in elementary school the last time they were dem boys. I'm almost 40 now. Enough said.
Absolutely. I'd take a flyer out on Richardson if Anthony wanted to part ways, go full Baltimore. Um,
That dude's not
the
Lamar though.
Anthony, he's not. He's not. He's not. He the stat about him that amazes me the most is that since high school, he's only played in 21 games.
That's
A
insane.
very small sample size of Florida and very small sample size in the NFL. He has a lot of potential, but he gets tired easily. And I'm telling you, you don't want those problems. You really don't want those problems. You don't want those problems. I'll give you a name of who this guy could be trending towards. He's trending towards becoming Jamarcus Russell. And you really want nothing to do with those problems. I'm telling you, let Indianapolis sit and suffer with him. Stay far away from him because it's going to take a lot of development to get that boy turned around to get right.
You gonna be sipping on the scissor with Jamarcus out there?
Right? Right?
Real talk though, that when it comes to Anthony
If he
Richardson,
was
I
Vince
think it's a
Young,
great lesson. It's a great
yeah,
lesson.
if he was Vince Young, sign him. But he's not. He's not. He doesn't have the want to. And that's basically what it comes down to Anthony Richardson is that deep down inside, there's no want to there.
Well, where's the play? Where's the production? Because in the offseason, RG, all these people on the internet that like wanted Anthony Richardson to be a Seahawk, I guess it was 2 drafts ago, they're telling me he's bigger, stronger, and faster than Cam Newton. He's blah, blah, blah. But then I always ask, why didn't he play like Cam Newton? Why didn't he dominate like Cam Newton? Look back at that Auburn team. There was no other pros on that offense. There was no other pros on that offense. Auburn is outmatched in every single game they play practically. They beat Alabama. They win the national title. Dude wins the Heisman. So I need to see the production. It was driving me, oh, he's the next kid. No, he's not. He can't be Lamar either. These are Heisman Trophy dominating ass kickers. MVPs of the NFL. So
Yes.
I just went a little crazy on that one, but
Now you good. You fall in love with the highlights of the arm strength. You fall in love with the magical thought of what he could be out there when he's making an amazing play. But what you're doing then is ignoring the other 59 and a half minutes of game fill on him. So yeah, definitely a lot of maturing to do. We talk about Julio's maturing. Anthony Richardson is in that same boat. The most physically gifted, talented guy you've seen definitely needs to grow up and find some want to. Gonna fuck himself out of a lot of money if he doesn't.
for real. It's a good thing he was a third pick. If he was a late pick, it'd already be over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sunday evening media, great point.
Remember how Zach yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Just we become in love with and especially at the combine when you got all day in air conditioning and basketball shorts with no pads on without Aaron Donald running in your face without Michael Parsons coming at you without some of the great ass kickers in defense coming to get that out of you. Don't fall in love with it there. That's not the way to be able to get it done. Red roasted spikes on Howell happily if it meant no more Geno. You're in a tough spot. I trade for Hendon Hooker right now, man. Just in a tough spot. Hate to be able to see it, but it's still in front of you. It's not a complete lost season right now. Nothing in the NFC is lost for anybody by any stretch of the means, except maybe for the Saints.
Oh my lord! Lose to the Panthers and their quarterback that's as tall as I am.
You wish you were that tall.
I know, for real though, huh? Oh man.
Man, good times. Good times. But yeah, chat, let us know what you think. Derek Carr is terrible. Did you see Michael Thomas's rant on him? No, I didn't happen to see it, but again, how fast things change in the NFL, because 7 weeks ago you'd have thought that Derek Carr was going to be a leading candidate for MVP the way that they tore apart the Cowboys. And then here we are 7 weeks later, and I don't know who that performance is more of an indictment on, the Cowboys or the fact that the Saints just kind of got so lucky.
Isn't that crazy though? You're right. It changes fast. It changes fast. Seattle Seahawks 3-0, Saints 2-0, and especially just that offense though. Saints put up almost a 50 burger 2 straight games to start the year. I don't think they've won since. It is a crazy league. If you're not on it at all times, you will get got even by the shittiest of teams.
Absolutely, man. MT goes off on Twitter. May have to find someone to check that out. See if super producer can find that while we're rolling through the live here tonight. But hey, man, happy to have each and every one of you with us, as we are each and every Sunday for My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. Now, what did you think about the college football slate this week?
It was okay. It was okay. I wasn't as locked in as I am on Sun weekends. Or most of the games weren't enormous, except maybe I shouldn't be wearing my Seahawks gear. Maybe I should be wearing my Ohio State Buckeyes gear with a fantastic win at Penn State. Your Florida State Seminoles. I'm just gonna be a dick right now. What has happened to that program? They were on the cusp of the college football playoff last year. What do they have? One win this year. I mean, I know the Huskies have not had a fantastic year compared to last year, but my lord, your poor Seminoles, man. Is Norvell going to make it to next year? I guess we'll find out, but man, all I do know is your 2 dudes from Florida State were absolute game wreckers against the Seahawks and embarrassed the right side of our offensive line.
Oh, man. You know what I think happened to Florida State was when you show a recruiting base the power that that committee still has over NCAA football. If I'm signed there and I see that happen, I don't have any faith that I want to go to a school like Florida State either. And they just began to drop commits and drop commits. Then the cardinal sin was not signing Cam Ward. Had the meeting, brought him in. Don't know what they did for him. Obviously wasn't enough, because then he signed with your rival. Going after DJ was an absolute mistake. If he was meant to be big time in that conference, Dabo would have never got rid of him. And they tried to mimic in Cam Ward because he came up to the Pacific Northwest. He earned his way back to big time college football, and we thought we can't get the guy from Washington State, but we'll get the guy from Oregon State. And just since the first game, it was evident that the toughest guy on our team was our kicker, and you're never going to get anywhere if the toughest guy on your team is out there kicking field goals. Norvell had his chance. The committee fucked him. It's sad and unfortunate. It's time to move on from Mike Norvell. And here's the terrible thing, too, is the guy who most of us want as Florida State fans, he's not coming to Florida State. Because we obviously don't have the financial resources to be able to help him compete in Florida State. And he could do a damn better job staying in Boulder, Colorado than he would coming home to Tallahassee. And that's unfortunate to say.
Oh, speaking of the money down in Florida, Sunday Evening Media saying Cam Ward needs to be a Seahawk. And you were mentioning that you didn't think Florida State has enough money to convince Cam to go to FSU compared to Miami. And from everything I've seen on the internet, that would be correct that Cam Ward got one of the biggest NIL bags of any player to jump ship and transfer. I real quick though, man, I just got to give a huge shout out to my cousin-in-law Jeffrey out in South Carolina. Down there in South Carolina. He's a little too shy to want to hop on the live chat, but he listens and watches every single weekend. So shout out to cousin Jeffrey, man. We know you should be a Seahawks fan, but I get it. You're down there in the Southeast. And I'm truly jealous of the college football fans in the Southeast because it's just not the same out here on the West Coast. You'd be lying to yourself if you said it was even close.
Huge win for South Carolina. After showing who they are in that Alabama game, to still be able to come out and battle each and every week with that same intensity, and then to take it to the 10th ranked team in the nation like that. Huge win for them. Somebody spamming the chat says, how about that Ohio State win this weekend? I'll tell you something. That pick that corner had in the back corner of the end zone where the ball bounces off the wide receiver, he catches it with his foot down. Great highlight. The rest of that game, to me, Ryan Day and James Franklin are the exact same person. Except James Franklin can't get over the Ryan Day hump during the regular season, and Ryan Day's not beating an SEC team in the playoffs. They're both the exact same person. Ryan Day may have a little bit more leeway because he's better than James Franklin in the race to get there, but they are both the exact same person. We had this talk in the betting Discord. Had a homie who was ride or die for Penn State this week, and I told him there's some things in life you don't do. You don't piss into the wind, you don't pull on Superman's cape, and you never take James Franklin to win a big-time game. I don't see how that man justifiably still has his job. Harbaugh at least made it to the playoffs, and that's what saved his job. And then he won the playoffs while with the scandal, and then had to get the fuck up out of there. James Franklin ain't got none of that. How does that guy still have his job? And for Ryan Day to maintain his,
they know.
Yeah, I don't think that they're stuck with him. They're like you said. I don't think that they have anyone who's worth replacing. But yeah, man, ain't no party like a Penn State party unless Jerry Sandusky throws that motherfucker in the shower.
Oh no! Oh, I'm sick. The worst scandal in sports history.
Nasty, just nasty work. Nasty work.
Hey,
Joe
your
Pod
boy
better.
Biggie's got some things to say about Penn State, though. Also, it's pretty famous in its own way.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but nah, that's a good game. Good game and everything. Big up to Will Howard. You know, how many times in life do you get to go and take the joy of someone who thought you weren't good enough for them? Big up to him. But that game is more of an indictment on how worthless James Franklin is than it really is about how good Ohio State is. Because the Penn State's a better team. Buckeyes have 2 losses, hoping that they don't get stuck somewhere fighting against Alabama for a spot to get in.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what it showed, and it just kills me to say this, man. It really hurts me to say this. But the Big Ten got vastly better this offseason, and it's because of Oregon. If Ohio State didn't have to come out to Eugene, Oregon for that football game, they'd be going in undefeated to Penn State with a lot less stress. Because you're right. I told Katie on Saturday morning, this is a do or die type of game, is how the Buckeyes have to approach this game. No one's scared of UW, and they shouldn't be. That team is as mediocre as it gets right now, college football wise. But Oregon is freaking scary, and with basically their unlimited NIL budget right now, they're going to be able to compete with anybody.
Sure are. They sure are. It's going to be very interesting to watch them battle it out for the Big Ten supremacy over the next 2 years. But that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. You don't like it, get used to it because that's just the way the college football is going to run. Absolutely, man. Ain't no party like a Penn State party. My man Emmett Brown, man, that dude wild, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Want to give a shout out to my University of New Mexico Lobos. Made history this week with two guys who each had 250-yard rushing and 2 touchdowns and still lost the game by 4 points.
Oh no.
We had been, I'm telling you, man, our offense had been in the Stone Age up until we got Bronco Mendenhall in, but Bronco Mendenhall is a defensive coach. So the fact that the offensive turnaround is I'm great, but we can't stop a nosebleed right now. And if we can figure out how to play a little bit of defense moving forward with that offense that we have, we might be able to spark the interest of some kids to come here and see what they can do in that offense instead of taking big time money to go somewhere else. Would like to see us be able to play a little bit of defense and kind of turn around because we do have an interesting game next year where it may not be an SEC school, but my Lobos do go play at the big house in Michigan. And they're in a downslide right now, so it might be time for a miracle.
Lobos rise up, baby.
There's a
Oh,
lot of sub QB playing from big teams. There really is. Other than Cam, Dylan Gabriel hasn't looked like a world beater. Beck is lucky that there's no one behind him or that dude would have got benched.
oh,
Eward
he's
fell
more
apart when they
overrated than
needed
Trevor
him to,
Lawrence.
right? Eward fell apart when they needed him the most and almost lost his job to Arch right there on the spot. Yeah, there's no real consensus on who's going to run away with being the guy this year in college football from the quarterback position. So if I'm one of these NFL teams, maybe I try to develop Anthony Richardson instead of trying to go route of the draft. Maybe there's someone sitting on some benches that's a hidden gem instead of trying to go Ward and Shador. I think Shador benefits from playing competition that's not as good as he is.
I still like him though.
Yeah, I do. I think he still has the best shot to be the number one draft pick. Um, but what the real travesty is that Travis Hunter isn't going to get a chance to become the first non QB to win the Heisman since Devontae Smith a couple years ago. That dude is just doing incredible shit out there playing 120 snaps on both sides of the ball and making impact on both sides of the ball.
Oh, absolutely.
Now
I
he
mean, you
definitely is
can
having a
hate on
better year.
Sanders. You hate on him
Mhm.
all you want, but if you watch him enough, it like from just a pure football perspective, there's nothing to not like about him. The guy throws with accuracy, anticipation. He is athletic enough. We've seen him play. Now they have a superstar left tackle in terms of college terms right now. But the one thing I like about Shador is he knows how to dodge and weave back there in the pocket. Where NFL evaluators get fooled all the time is there so many quarterbacks that look amazing, and Geno Smith would be one of them, where they look so amazing when there's no pass pressure on you. But in the NFL, you have to work within a chaotic pocket almost every single play. So that's what separates the men from the boys easily. And I like that we at least get to see that with Shador because he's not on one of these all-star teams where it's so hard to judge a quarterback from Alabama or Ohio State because it's really hard to figure out. Like you're talking about the competition, Shador is way better of a football player than almost every DB he throws against, and we see that same sort of stuff from other schools. It's like I said, especially the powerhouses, because it's just not equal. The talent's not even close game in, game out.
Sam Bradford.
Great one. Great one.
Sam Bradford.
I thought he'd be a stud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. you run the same type of offense against guys who have the same type of talent that you do on the backside of the ball, and it makes you look real mediocre.
Mhm.
It's my own
His arm
unique
and
opinion.
accuracy was awesome, but you're right though. It's like, can you
Josh
handle when the
Rosen.
bullets
Hey
are
man,
coming?
Josh Rosen. That's another good one. Didn't mean to
Woo.
cut you off there, T. Yeah,
No,
Josh
it's all
Rosen.
good.
Another good one. Another good one.
Mariner Slifer, Ashton Jeanty is amazing too. If I had it my way, RG, it would be Hunter and Ashton Jeanty 1-2 without question.
Mhm.
And I don't think it should be
Absolutely.
close. We'll see how the vote shakes out. But
We will.
they're just playing such fantastic football, and there's also something to be said about leading a program that just isn't automatically amazing. You know, those guys really have to carry the entire college campus on their backs, so to speak, because these aren't your traditional powerhouses.
No, it definitely should be the year of the little guy, but we have to see how the voters who are only awake during the East Coast time zone slots for some of these games have to feel about it. I believe that there's a difference on the way that you feel about it when you get to see it live compared to how you feel about it when you get to see it on tape. And I definitely do think that that's going to hurt someone like Genty in being able to get there. Look into Sampson from Tennessee, deserves some consideration. 20 rushing touchdowns. He is. He is. He is. Dude is playing well. Tennessee still has their chance to make some noise. They still got some meat on their schedule left to be able to be in those primetime games and shock the world a little bit. I, for one, am loving the way that this college football season is played out, just because we are getting some good value in some of these regular season games where some people thought it would be watered down just because so many teams are going to get into the playoffs. But it's going to be cutthroat. It's going to be cutthroat right after 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's going to be really interesting to see how it shapes out. The most important thing that's coming on Tuesday is the initial rankings in the college football playoff.
Yeah. It at least makes you smile. Or maybe make you pissed, but either way, it's a fun emotion, and it is good. It's good. It's great for the sport, really. It feels like so many teams, programs, cities, regions have an opportunity. Sunday evening media, Georgia's ranked so high. What, like, their defense wasn't spectacular on Saturday night, but when a Georgia defense is on, I love watching those dudes play. They're so fast. They're so damn physical. Man, I get a little scared just watching on the TV.
They're ranked so high because they beat the number one team at their home place by 14, 15 points.
Oh
That's the
shit,
answer to your
easy,
question.
easy
That's the
money,
answer
huh?
to your question.
Yeah.
They on paper have the best win of the season. Could be should it be Oregon versus Ohio State? It probably should be, but to beat the number one team at home in a game that really wasn't that close, that's the reason why. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, Mr. Brown. I'd be annoyed if the Final Four, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oregon, same old three with one token addition. We'll see, man. We'll see. What we really don't know the truth about is a team like Notre Dame. We really don't know the truth about Notre Dame. We really don't know the truth about Miami either. Because Miami looked like Duke had them against the ropes, and then when you blinked, Miami was back up 22 points. So there's still a lot of good college football left to be played the rest of the year. And like I said, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it.
And they get to play it out. We don't have to wonder what could have been. It's not going to be like last year. Well, maybe Florida State could have beaten somebody with their backup quarterback. We're not going to have to just play make believe. We're going to get to see this shit actually happen. And it's fantastic for college football fans. It absolutely is.
True. The one thing about Florida State to put the nail in their coffin, then we'll talk about good teams heading on out. Um, 2K Red Eyes is fired service. We could all be happy. My dog, shout out, welcome to the show. Um, is I don't blame those kids for backing out because there's nothing for me to be able to gain to go out there to go play it. And yes, that sounds selfish, but I'm also not going to go put my body on the line if there's nothing that I can absolutely personally gain from that. You know who did a good job of whooping the Seahawks' ass tonight? Jared Verse and Frisk. Guess where they played football at last year? Did not playing hurt their draft stock? No. Did it was an indictment on their talent? Ask the Seahawks how they feel about those two right
Makes us wonder if we took the right guy in terms of defensive lineman at the top.
now. Yeah, man. Yeah, just well, once money gets involved, does it begin to ruin things? Absolutely. But you have 100-year history of those guys getting the short end of the stick during the work while these institutions had made hundreds of millions of billions of dollars off of them. So I don't blame these dudes one bit. Get your money. The quarterback from UNLV entered the transfer portal already because he didn't play 4 games, so he got to declare a red shirt and entered the portal. Pay me my money. People have been shot for less. Pay me my money.
Gone. Gone with the win, man. 2K Red Eyes, though, man, coming in happy that we fired service. We haven't seen you in a minute, bro. It's great to have you back on. I think a lot of coaches might be getting fired this offseason in many different sports, but it's going to be really fun to see how everything unfolds in baseball this offseason. It really is. And that's just a backdrop to all the incredible football going on. It's a fun time of year, and we need it because at least in the Pacific Northwest, it feels like it hasn't stopped raining, dude.
Rain's still coming, man. It's early in the storm season. Rain's still coming. Rain is still coming. It ain't gonna be clear outside for a little bit. Just grab you an umbrella. You might need it.
We don't use umbrellas out here. That's how you know if you're from the Northwest or not.
It's not, to quote the old homie DMX, rest his soul. When it rains, get wet. Oh man. Oh man. Such fun. Such fun as always. Never really knowing what direction these things are going to take, but we're gonna have some real time fun conversations. Baseball season is now in a wrap. We'll get to see what happens as we get closer to winter meetings. I think only 2 people have signed so far. Former World Series MVP Jorge Soler. He's no longer going to be off the domino board. So we were talking about a lack of good, solid bats being available. Well, there's already one less that we're going to be able to dream about them not being able to sign to the Pacific Northwest. So as far as the Mariner fandom goes, definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Got to have some faith that they'll be able to do something, but they've already showed me who they truly are, and I can't do anything else left the rest of this way but to trust them.
We got to, when it comes to pro sports, even if you're a big market team, your big money players got to play well. And the Mariners have painted themselves into a corner because we got a lot of players that are getting paid big time money for very little production.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's how the cookie crumbles, though, man. Just how it goes. Yeah, big game still coming up in college football. I know my Eagles have their arch enemy, the Dallas Cowboys, coming up on next Sunday. I expect the Cowboys to come up and give us the best game that they've played all year. Philly traditionally does not play well in Texas, so we'll definitely see how that happens to come across. We them boys, you gotta stop, man. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. Y'all ain't even the best team in Texas no more. They happen
Oh,
to reside in Houston. Yeah, man. Who the Seahawks got next coming up?
Shoot, I don't even know. It shows where I'm at right now, man.
Man, just shell shocked from the events of tonight, man. Well, we get it. Bye week, I think. Good. Hopefully it gives you guys some time to get it
Oh
figured
yeah,
out.
it is. It is.
Would love to see anybody other than the Niners and the Rams win the NFC West.
Well, if there
Hopefully you
was
guys can
ever a
make that
team
dream
that
come
needed
true.
to self scout from their coaching staff, the Seahawks, the coaches need to self scout as much as any coaching staff I've ever seen before.
Man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. A lot of good sports coming up. We'll get into some NBA as the season keeps getting roll on. One of my favorite times of the year is also starting college basketball. Tuesday brings us Maction every Tuesday and Wednesday night for all you degenerates out there. We'll be talking overs. We'll be talking unders, baby. Yeah. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. NHL is starting to pick up some steam. So we're going to be able to stay in and stay warm and be able to check out some good sports as we keep moving forward here on My Oh My. It's another sports podcast. Ty, you got anything else for the people?
Let's do it, baby. Geno Smith for president, Bronny James for MVP. Let's freaking go, baby. Mariners, 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 Bronny James and Geno Smith. That's what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Regardless of how you feel about the climate that we're in, it is important that we use our platform just to engage involvement. I'm not going to talk red. I'm not going to talk blue. Just if you believe in something, Tuesday is your chance to make your voice heard. Take full advantage of that opportunity. Don't care if it's red. I don't care if it's blue. If there's something that you need your voice heard on, go make your voice heard on Tuesday, and we'll live with the consequences as we move forward after that. My Oh My is another sports podcast is brought to you by Vaden Podcast Services. Be sure to check out our man That's the Indies YouTube page and follow along with some of his music. This podcast is recorded in Little Lake Stevens, Washington, Albuquerque, New Mexico, engineered by the one and only Indy, man. Big shout out to our social media director, Miss Katie Masamoto. Thank you for all the work that you do for us. Be sure to follow us on our socials at MyOMyASP. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok for some of the short reels that Ty has created throughout the course of the week. If you are not able to join us live, please be sure to get those downloads each and every Monday night, Tuesday morning on wherever you like to find your favorite podcast from. That's the homie up there, Ty Talks 24. Shout out to my man Indy on the 1 and 2s joining us from Nashville. I'm that dude RG. The homies in the chat. Please come back and join us next week as we rock this again on My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.